Hi, everyone. Well, it's just about time to get started, and I just want to go over the agenda today. But thank you for spending some time on your busy Thursday afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. We really appreciate it, and we're hoping you're going to get some valuable information out of this webinar. I will be going through it fairly quickly, so um, please let me know if you have questions. There's the email at the bottom of the screen. Feel free to email those to me. If I don't get to your questions during the webinar, I will certainly answer them via email and obviously include the group so we can have a benefit. Everyone can have the benefit of your question and the answer. So what are we going to cover today? Basically, very, very quickly, we'll cover like why market your practice, especially now during COVID and during these really strange times. And we'll have some reasons why there and some additional information later on as well. Then we're going to go through the essentials of a simple marketing plan. Now, I underlined simple, I bolded the word simple, and you'll see it and you'll hear me say it throughout this presentation. Because if you go online, if you go to a seminar, if you attend another webinar about marketing, about healthcare marketing, about just any marketing, you're going to get 1,000 different opinions and different ways to do it. All of them could be right. There's just so many ways to do marketing, but we've learned to keep it really simple. And we've also learned that our clients don't have a ton of budget to spend on marketing. Nobody does really, unless you're a big major brand in the US or whatever, consumer packaged goods. But we have small budgets and we have to stretch them as far as we can. So this simple marketing plan kind of really boils it down to the core essentials that you really need to kind of focus on, and then you can kind of go after your market. So we'll cover that, and we'll walk through some examples as well, like a sample marketing plan that I will share with you after the presentation as well. Then we're going to go into an urgent care case study. One of our clients, I'll actually walk you through what we're doing for them and what the results are. And everything we're going to share today will be applicable to your business. It's not just, oh, how can I apply that to my company, my practice, my business? You will be able to take these tips and tricks and what we're doing and implement them, or at least think about them for your company. They're very, very attributable to what you're doing. And then some templates and resources within the presentation itself. I won't go through all that stuff, but there are some references and some links to some documents that would be helpful for your planning purposes. So this whole thing is going to take about 45 minutes with time for questions. I may end up sooner or later than that. Depends on the number of questions that come in, and also depends on the individual slides and how well we cover each one. So with that, I will jump right in. So one of the big questions we get when we're talking to healthcare practice owners, physician owners, entrepreneurs that own healthcare facilities of some type, we often get a lot of pushback about marketing. It's like they're on board with everything else we recommend because we're in there helping with their operations and their billing, and we're consulting on other things, and we're doing marketing for some of them, but we get a lot of pushback on marketing. Like, I don't know, I don't feel comfortable doing this marketing thing. I'm a doctor, it's healthcare, I feel weird kind of doing it. But if you think about it, pretty much everyone on this call has experienced it, and you see it every day, whether you're driving down the road and you see a billboard for a healthcare center or a hospital or some kind of healthcare facility, some doctor's office, dentist's office. It's everywhere. Everyone's doing it, and you're going to be falling behind if you're not. So with the urgent care case study that we're going to show you, they weren't doing marketing before, and now they are, and you'll see the results. And that's just one example of how we've kind of turned that perception completely around by targeted marketing, with a digital approach. So what you're not going to get is what you see on the screen, the image. You're not going to get binders full of information and documentation and research. It's going to take you weeks and months to kind of put together, and then you're ready to go out and attack your market. What we're going to do, let's just visualize, take one of those binders and take 3 or 4 sheets of paper out. That's the work you need to do. We're not doing tons of research and doing analysis, and you could, but you'd be wasting a lot of time and not going after and getting new patients and clients through the door. So what we're doing is, again, it's a super simplified approach. You attend a webinar next week with someone else, you're going to get a different, probably, thought process, but the core should be the same. And what that core is are basically 4 components. First, we want to define your practices, or, I'm using the word practice a little bit about nomenclature. I'm using the word practice interchangeably with client. So if your business doesn't necessarily have patients, but you have clients, it's kind of the same thing for the purposes of this presentation. So number 1, let's define your practice's target markets. Like, you really can't go after anyone if you don't know who they are, if you haven't defined who they are. And then you have to define your marketing goals and how they map back to your business goals. If your business goals are to be acquired, there's certain things that marketing should support in doing that. If your business goals are to simply just grow your business, and that means getting more patients of a certain type, then you go after that certain type. You don't go after the other stuff that's going to give you maybe less profitable new clients or new patients. So you really clearly define it and have your targets to shoot after. Self-explanatory timelines and deadlines, but without a sense of urgency, nothing gets done. I think we all can understand that pretty clearly, but it's important to put that in your marketing plan. And we're going to walk through an example. And track and report on every key performance indicator that you define on a regular basis. And that's with dashboards and spreadsheets and whatever makes sense for your organization. But most of the stuff that we're doing has dashboards already built in. It has all the tracking mechanisms built in, which is the great thing about digital. Everything is orchestrated and outlined for you. And that's the beauty of what we're going to be presenting today. And then it's available to you as well. So let's walk through a simple plan. A simple and sample plan. Now, once you see the screen completely looks different now. When we're in these kind of dark backgrounds with the wavy images, this is part of the template that you will receive separately. So there's my presentation, and then there's the template that I'm kind of walking you through. So I took these slides from a marketing template and kind of modified it for this purpose. But you guys have access to this as well, so you can kind of come in and kind of modify it as you need to. So let's first define. We talked about number 1, defining your target audience, and we're adding the word persona to this. So target audience is pretty simple. That's the ideal customers you want to attract. Now, the persona gets into a much more level of detail, and you have this information inside your 4 walls. You have it in your heads. Get in the room and figure it out, because it's so important. So let's just say your ideal customer is X, but where do they go? Where do they shop? Where do they eat? What kind of jobs do they have? Are they male? Are they female? What kind of needs and pain points do they have? So we've all heard of the SWOT analysis. This is kind of that type of approach for marketing personas and target markets. You have to kind of go through that process. But again, it doesn't mean you're doing this for weeks or days or weeks. You can do this in an afternoon, because you know your business better than anybody else. You can look through your data and say, our most profitable or our best customers or our best patients are X. What do they have in common? And let's figure that out and write that down, because it's going to be important so we can go out and target those people later. So as an example, as the sample plan exercise shows, a persona 1 demographics. Let's say the job title responsibilities are hardworking and blue collar. The gender is female, head of household, but the secondary is male. So, all the text you see in yellow are really referring to this urgent care center that we're going to be talking about in a little bit. They kind of walked you through, so it's not just placeholder text, it's real content. So the primary ages between 24 and 35. They have family with 2 to 3 kids, and they're big mobile users. Now, you can get a lot more detailed than this. if you have access to the information, the more detail, the better. Now, the downside of having a lot of detail is that you don't want to be out there looking for the perfect match to what you write down on this section. So you have to, get half or more. Then if you're targeting half or more of these demographics, then you're going to be hitting the right people. Everyone's not going to match this exactly, but it's a good indication based on your past clients and patients what kind of people you really need to go after and how. So let's talk about emotion. What are the reasons they search for a solution? Well, in this case, for the urgent care center, they have a healthcare need, an urgent one. It's convenient because it's close to where they live or work. It has, the labs that they want or whatever. And in this case, it's a Spanish-speaking staff for a Spanish-speaking audience for the most part. So why did they choose us? So think about your business. Why do people choose you? Again, in aggregate, think about the reasons. The most your best customers, best clients, best patients. Why did they choose you? Why did they choose you in the past? And again, put this stuff on paper. In our case, convenient and effective care. A Spanish-speaking staff is critical to that audience, and it's cost-effective. The number one benefit they get from you, again, for the urgent care center, it's quick and effective care with the Spanish-speaking staff. The closest competitors they consider, this is important because you need to know who your competitors are, and I'm sure everyone does. Who do they go to if they don't go to you? And obviously it's important to know, if you can, without doing, again, a ton of research and time and effort there, like why. When people sign up for new patient or new client meetings with you, it's important to have them fill out a survey. Why did you choose us? How did you hear about us? All those types of things are really, really important. And once you get a number of those, once you get that in some statistical quantity, then you can start building solutions to go after more of those people, because you're going to see commonalities between them. And the last thing for building a persona is, what do they look like? Like physically, what do they look like? This is an ideal picture of what we want to bring to the urgent care center that we're going to be talking about. Your picture is going to look completely different because, your patients, your clients have a different persona. And what you'd want to do is go through there. All right, so your ideal persona is X. Maybe you have a secondary one that is, if you could get more of X, but you also want more of Y, then build 2. But what you don't want to do is build 5, because then you don't know where your money is going to go. Then you're spreading it too thin. So build 1 or build 2 personas, and let's focus on those 2 and figure out how we can really best go after that market. So again, part of your template, part of your marketing plan, your program. Here's your presentation. You've done that previous work that we just covered. Here's your presentation internally to your team. You're going to outline your goal by putting a date, March 2021, then of course your company, ABC Health Services Corporation, marketing team will reach. Put in a number that's attainable, but it's also a stretch. You don't want to get, we're going to reach 200 in a month. That's easy to do. Let's put a realistic and also kind of a stretch goal in there, so we can kind of get some success and kind of push yourselves to 2,000 target market persona 1 contacts. The persona we just talked about. Every month, again, that's the frequency. It could be every quarter, every month, every week, whatever. Again, we'd have to do some research to figure out what makes the most sense for your organization. So every month, and gain 150 new patients by March. That's your goal. That's your stretch goal. Now, these numbers would fluctuate, and it's okay to be wrong here, but we try to make it as accurate as possible. But you're also, if you're just starting this, you don't really know. Look at your past patient volume or client volume, and let's see if we can get half of those, 50% increase in those from the past. That's a good goal, and start with there. That's where these numbers came from. Again, these ones in yellow, except for the company name is not the same company, the right company name, but those are the kinds of things that we were thinking about when we were doing our urgent care center plan. So I kind of jumped over a bunch of internal thought processes and discussions about tactics, but I think it's important for this call to say these 4 tactics that we are using are very applicable to your business. So tactic number 1, again, it doesn't mean that you could just check off these things and go and start tomorrow, because there's some lead work that needs to be done and a little bit of research that needs to be done and set up and account setups and stuff like that. But these 4 will work. There's some flavor of these 4 that will work for your business, and you will get new clients and patients. Geo-targeting, again, this is in the plan, but the yellow text is what we're doing for a client. So geo-targeting, email marketing, text marketing, and Google My Business. All 4 have built-in capabilities of providing you reports and stats and tracking. And if for some reason it's not working, if you ran out of money to keep it going, you hit pause or you hit stop and it's stopped. This is not one of those long-term things like an advertising contract where you're like on TV or billboards, or that you can't get out of a contract and you're trying to get out of it. These are quick to get in and quick to get out, and pause if you need to. Then of course you got to figure out a marketing budget. What's your monthly marketing budget? What's your yearly divided by 12 for a monthly? If it's a 6-month plan, all right, what's our 6-month marketing budget? And you've got, is it 3% of revenue? Is it 5% of revenue? Is it 1% of revenue? Figure out a number and stick to it and commit to it. Because with digital marketing, as we just described, you can see if it's working almost immediately. Now, some things take a little longer to work, but they will work and they will show you if they're working or not. It's an opportunity for you to look at it and say, and you should be looking at it all the time, whether it's daily, at least a few times a week, because you're spending your money, your business owners, your boss is a business owner, your small organizations, you want to make sure your money is going as far as it possibly can. And we've heard it over and over and over again. It's the same with our company. With positive results, people are going to add more money to a marketing budget because they want more of what's working. It's common sense. And then there's, of course, how are you going to get there from a financial standpoint, from a goal standpoint? Month by month, you track this, you report it, you share it. And it's okay, like I said before, it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to miss the mark. But again, with digital, you know when you're missing the mark. You start seeing a trend line going down, you put that thing on pause and you figure out what's going wrong. Either your message is wrong, or your targeting is wrong, or if it was working before, something happened. What happened? And we could figure that out. Maybe it's a new creative spin that you need to put on it. Maybe it's not talking about COVID or whatever anymore. People are just tired of COVID. People were living with it, we're dealing with it. Talk about something else. Maybe it's something like that. But track it, report it, and be perfectly fine with saying, hey, look, I missed the boat here, or we're missing the boat, but I didn't spend 3 months watching it and then tell you it's 3 or 4 days old and I'm noticing a trend. Let's talk about what we should do. So how do you track it? Again, most of the tools that we use, or all the tools that we use, actually have their own tracking mechanisms. You just have to kind of aggregate that stuff together in some kind of a presentation like this, a marketing presentation, that you can kind of share your results with your team. If there's different components, geo-targeting, email marketing, they're going to have different stats. But at the end of the day, how many new patients or clients did you get as a result? That's the ultimate goal. So to reiterate, back to the presentation without the marketing plan template, a simple marketing plan defines your practice or your client, your business's target markets. Really kind of simple. Then define your marketing goals. How many of what do you want to get by when? Provide timelines and deadlines. That's critically important. Otherwise, it's going to sit. If marketing is not a responsibility of someone at your organization, then it may just kind of sit if no one's in charge of it with a deadline associated to it. And then track and report, again, your key performance indicators, if it's volume of new patients, if it's number of number of phone calls, how many times a phone rings, how many appointments scheduled, that stuff needs to be tracked. Whatever is important for your business, that needs to be tracked, and it needs to be trained within your organization. So if the phone calls are now those numbers that you would use are being tracked, and you can kind of tell what kind of volume, but that person answering the phone is really, really important, because they should be asking questions like, how did you hear of us? What made you call us today? Those types of things. People are happy to answer that kind of stuff, especially if they're getting a nice, friendly voice on the phone. So let's transition now into more of what we're doing for the urgent care center, and it's directly attributable and applicable to what your business is. Everyone in this call has some kind of a healthcare facility or business or rehab or wellness center or something of that nature. These tools and these techniques are extremely applicable to what you're doing. So our goal, going through the same kind of process we just walked through in a sample plan, our goal is to increase by 50% the average number of patients that are going to the urgent care center. We wanted to do that within 6 months. So we wanted to grow it from what was 12 patients per day to 18. And we were giving ourselves 6 months to do that. And we started this back in April. So that was our goal. We didn't know if we were going to be way off, or we were going to be, if that was ridiculous or whatever. So we just wanted to go. We wanted a 50% increase. We didn't want people sitting around waiting, employees waiting for patients to deal with and having all that, just nothing to do. And so that was our original approach. And we did that with, our main goals with, we would definitely want to use digital. Of course, we are, marketers, we want to use digital for everything these days. But it's a multi-pronged approach. Create awareness. Like everything we do has an added benefit of awareness. So when people need us, we're there. They may not need us then, and then the next time, boom, they're going to need us. And in this case, it's an urgent care center. It's convenient, it's close. But we want to get new patients to the center. Visits and appointments, that's it. That's the ultimate goal. The awareness is great, but that's not going to pay the bills. Awareness doesn't pay the bills. New patients to the center, to our urgent care center, will pay the bills. So that's what we want. And of course, we're measurement. We have to measure everything we do. And lucky for us, lucky for you, all the tools that we're using, again, have these wonderful reports and spreadsheets and graphs and charts built in. It's just literally trying to figure out which chart and which graph that you want to incorporate into your internal kind of communications. And then a dashboard to kind of say, what's the ROI and what's the, how are we making money on this and whatever. So where's the break-even point and all that. So how did we do it and what are the results? So again, it's an urgent care center. We use geo-targeting, Google My Business, texting, and email marketing. All four of those combined. So really, really briefly, I don't want to get into a whole long thing about geo-targeting because I could talk for 3 hours on this topic. But geo-targeting in a real simple form is you have a mobile device, you go places. When you go places, you open your mobile device because we're all addicted to our phones. As soon as you open that mobile device, you're probably being geo-targeted by someone. You walk into a Starbucks, you might be being geo-targeted by a Starbucks competitor, if there are such things. You walk into a bookstore, I know it's a dying breed, but if you walk into a bookstore, you might be targeted by some other organization that, like Best Buy or something that wants, they're interested in books. They might be interested in technology or TVs or something. You walk into a Best Buy, you might be targeted by someone else. But the whole point is you're being targeted by unless you specifically turn it off on your phone, which most people don't, but by your geolocation. So think about that red dot in the middle there. Think about it, that's your business. That's where you're located. But those blue ones represent potential clients, potential patients, and potential other people who can influence those people. So in our world, when you have a brick and mortar store, convenience is so important. And in this urgent care case study case, that's the red dot is where the center is. And there's a lot of our target market and where those blue things are. So we drew a circle around it like this. And anyone walking within that circle is going to get exposed to our ads. So, and then the call to action wasn't, hey, go visit our website, do this, do that. It's call or visit. And here's the ad. We have this, we have physicals, we have consults, we have labs, we have COVID testing, you name it. And we change the creative all the time. So as soon as people walk into that circle, they're getting exposed to our ads. Now, this is just a sample ad. It's not the actual one because our ads are in Spanish. And this one's in English and Latin. So it's just a placeholder, but it kind of gives you an idea. It gives you an idea of how geo-targeting works. And you're thinking, oh, that's great. No one looks at ads on their phones. Well, they do. We've gotten, I won't spoil the surprise yet, but there's thousands and thousands of impressions. You can see on this chart, the green line represents impressions. So the number of times ads are shown on people's phones within that geolocation area. So that's great that the ads are being shown, but the blue line is the number of visits to our center. So the phone is being tracked, Big Brother is watching. The phone is being tracked as soon as you're originally tagged as a potential, customer of our urgent care center. Then we're going to follow you around. And then you end up at the center and it's tracked on the spreadsheet because it knows where you are, it knows where you went, and knows where you go. Now, there's so much more I could talk about geo-targeting, but the most important thing in here is these are visits to your center. This is literally driving people to the center, whether it's a day later, a week later, a month later. But we're getting people to interact with the ad, either call or just visit the center based on the content that they see on their phones. This line here shows it's the visit line. It's a different color now. It's green, but it's visits from our start of our campaign, which is mid-April, through a couple days ago. That's 153 new patient visits since April. If you remember in the beginning, we had a goal of 50% increase in the number of patients per day. Now this is 153 overall since mid-April, but this blew our mind. Like once we started seeing, you see those spikes on this screen, we were just blown away. Like, wow, this is really working. And we can see it working. This is like proof. It's not just, oh, we think our marketing generated people coming. This is proof because their phones are going into the center where they weren't there before. So we have 153 new patient visits since mid-April, which is phenomenal. And we were extremely excited with that. We did not expect that, to be honest. We didn't. We expected some. We didn't expect 153 since mid-April. So the other components, so there's geo-targeting, created 153. In 5 months, we had 634 phone calls, 16,000 photo views, and 343 requests for directions on Google My Business. I'm going to talk a little bit more about Google My Business in a minute. But that's just amazing. And that's gravy because we didn't expect that either. We expected it to be, it's a critical component. It's something you need to do, but it's not something that we expected that many phone calls and that many in photos and all that kind of stuff. That stuff I'll get into in a second. Texting, pretty basic, pretty standard. Everyone gets texting from probably their doctors and other, whether you're in political texting campaigns or whatever, you're getting texts all the time from third parties. Obviously from Amazon, all that kind of stuff. That's different because you're ordering something, but people are used to the texting. Now we found out based on our best practices that texting twice a month is probably where it needs to stay. Anything more frequent than that, you're going to get a lot of people saying unsubscribe. Now in the texting sense, we're texting current clients and patients. While we're not getting new patients through the door in that case, we're getting old clients and old patients back for other things. So still good. you're doing your marketing. And the same thing with emails. We're doing, emails to our current client base, and we're talking about our new services, new hours, new services, COVID testing, rapid COVID testing, whatever it happens to be. So again, not too frequent, because no one wants to hear from their healthcare center that they were at once or twice, every week. It's once a month. So the emails generate 56 phone calls and 12 appointments. Again, everything is tracked, and it's important that everything is tracked. And when we did the texting, the phones were ringing off the hook. We were literally being asked, like, can you guys stop that texting, in jest, because our phones are ringing off the hook. But I would imagine everyone on this call would be happy to have that problem. So a little bit more about Google My Business. It's a free tool. It's a necessary tool. Anyone with a physical location that you want people to drive to or call, but it's a physical location you want them to visit, you have to have a Google My Business page. If you have one, you need to feed it often. And then feed it meaning content and photographs and just offers and promotions, anything you could possibly put out there, even if it's just, hey, Susie had a birthday today, or we had our, a patient giveaway today, whatever you have going on in your office, it's not going to be, what am I trying to say? It's important. It's going to be important for Google. So Google takes your content that you put on there, and the more content you put on there, the more refreshed content you put on there, the better your search results are going to be. So who doesn't want someone typing in healthcare center near me or wellness center near me? Who doesn't want their business to show up? One, number two, number three. No one's going to go to second page, third page, forget it. You have to be on that first page for anyone to get any kind of traction on. So Google helps with that dramatically if you have a Google My Business page. You've got to have that. And it doesn't cost anything to set it up. It just takes time and effort every month, at least, to keep that updated with fresh content. So here's the winning slide. We did all that for the urgent care center. Before marketing, they had 12 patients per day. We talked about that before. Our goal was 18 after 6 months. It hasn't been 6 months yet, and we're averaging 31 patients per day. The center this is actual patients. This is not the visitation only. This is all that marketing coming together. And so we help them drive from 12 patients a day. Now they're at 31 patients a day. That's a 258% increase in daily patient volume. We never thought we'd see this. I mean, we were hoping 18 and maybe 20 we'd be high-fiving. But if we went from 12 to 31, this center, I just got an email this morning that the center had 34 yesterday. So we're actually starting to trend back up again. And it's probably due to, the weather changing, people getting sicker, the cold, and obviously the COVID kind of thing underlaying all that. But this is not all COVID either. This is people coming in for consults and physicals and just wellness checks and broken bones and that kind of stuff. So again, we started with 12 and we're now at 31 and going up, which is just, with the marketing that we're doing, again, it's all tracked, it's all tech, digital, and we can look at it and tweak it and change it. And we've changed the creative for this, the phones, the ads that appear on your phones. We've changed that a couple times because we were tired of talking about COVID. And I think our audience was tired of seeing about COVID and just in general. So we started talking about, hey, it's back to school time. And there's still a lot of back to school happening. Get your physicals, get your blood work, get this, get that. And we've seen that go through the roof. I mean, we're getting the majority of our visits right now to the urgent care center are not COVID related. There are physicals or there are consults or there's, second opinions, or pregnancy tests, they're this, they're that. So you have to learn and see what's going on. Again, this is applicable to our business, but the techniques that we're using can be used for any business with a brick and mortar, with a physical building. Geotargeting makes sense for a physical location. Now, all the other tools make sense for a website business or web-based business as well. But we're just really happy with this. We're seeing this number go up every day. We're hoping to hit 40 on average, but you know, as averages go, we have to wait for a little while for it to creep up, but it's going to be creeping up, and we're hoping to be off this chart real soon. So that's the quick case study. I could go through, again, GeoTarget or any one of these tools. I could go through it with in-depth conversations about any of this stuff. I didn't want to, you know, get bogged down in the details today, but that was, you know, really what was working for an urgent care center. We're doubling down on it. We're starting other things. There's more stuff that we learn as we're geotargeting more people. As you can imagine, people on their phones, they go other places. Now, once a lot of those people go other places, we start developing trends. So we know that a lot of these people that are looking at are actually visiting our urgent care center are also going to Cricket Wireless. They're big Cricket Wireless customers. They're also big customers of other brands. So what we're doing now, we're starting to layer that on top. So all right, let's go to Cricket Wireless. Let's draw some boxes around Cricket Wireless all around the area where the urgent care center is. So we're going to start targeting those people saying, hey, there's an urgent care center near you that speaks your language that can provide services for you. We know that there's a strong correlation between the two. So let's go after the other ones. There's a lot of smart stuff we can do. So it's about knowing your audience, target markets, personas, clearly identifying your goals and KPIs, and then determining the best ways to reach them. And I hope you've seen that the targeted digital marketing is going to be the most cost effective. And again, you could stop at any point during a digital marketing campaign. I wouldn't recommend stopping unless something is really broken, but at least you can kind of pause and reflect and change and modify. And of course, you've got to track it and you've got to report it. You've got to stay on top of it. That's just one of the things a lot of people, when they do this on their own, forget, or they're like, you know, that seems to be working. I'm going to go off and do other things. And next thing you know, a month goes by and, oh, that program I started a month ago, I'm not sure where that money's going. I wonder if it's still working. You got to be on top of it because then you can change it and make it even better. So marketing works. I mean, going back to the first slide talking about, you know, we have conversations with business owners and physician owners and, you know, doctors themselves and like, the marketing, healthcare. Just have to do your homework and figure out who you want to target and use specific targeted tools like we discussed today and go after them. And then the message has to be right. Like, what message do you want to convey to people? Again, that's going to determine a lot on where you make your most profit or you make your most impact with patients. If people come in for X, you should make sure you're targeting X in your creative and your marketing. If you want to get more of Y, even though you have a really good service for Y, you're not getting a lot of customers, then go try that. Go try to get more Y. But looking at your past data is going to reflect on what your marketing should be. It should direct what your marketing should be, at least to start. And new patients will be on the way. There's so many stories and case studies that we could share with geotargeting and these different campaigns that just really hit the mark. And again, it's tracked and you're able to kind of just go specifically target and get the patients that you want. But wait, there's more, and I do have some questions that came in during the presentation. But before we get to that, we are offering a 30-minute one-on-one phone consultations. There's no obligation whatsoever because we know that, you know, sometimes it's hard to kind of take what you hear in the presentation and kind of apply it to your business. Like, what about this? What about this? I have these questions that are specific to your business that may not be appropriate to even, you know, send a question for the group to hear, but we're happy to go through it. We're not going to ask you to do anything, you know, sign up for an agreement. We're not going to bill you for the time or anything like that. We just want to help because this is exciting stuff. We want you to see the kind of results that the urgent care center is seeing. we can't promise you 258% return, but we can sure shoot for it. There is certain things that we can do that we've learned through all of our clients, that we've kind of, you guys have the benefit, if you want to work with us, to kind of, we've gone through the learning processes and tweaking processes and working with multiple, healthcare clients and using this technology. We've got it figured out. Now, there's a lot to learn still because it's changing all the time, but we know and we believe we can really make an impact on your business with these tools. But anyway, the 30-minute conversation is just a conversation. Share us what your goals are, what your challenges are. We'll help you. We'll walk you through some ideas. We'll say, hey, think about this, check this out. What about that? What are you guys doing for this kind of creative? What are you doing for marketing now? So we can kind of go through their process, however you want to deal with that. So you have my phone number, you have my email address. Feel free to reach out. Happy to offer that 30-minute one-on-one consultation to anyone on this call. And hopefully we'll get some help you with your business immediately, because most of the people who are on this call reply when I ask the question, when would you want to start? When do you plan on starting some marketing programs? And most people are like 0 to 3 months. So like now. So we're ready to get started now as well. So if you want to even schedule the 30-minute conversations, we can schedule that for next week. Happy to talk you guys through that. So we have some references. You don't need to take down these URLs or anything, because I will email these to you. And I also send along the marketing template, which is really what we walk through with the yellow text. It's really a very streamlined version, but you're going to get most of the way there if you fill that out. If you really think through your business, how you attract clients and patients, and you go through that process and you build your personas with the emotion, with the different demographics, with the photograph, print it out and point it inside your office somewhere. Obviously not where patients or clients will see it, but inside your office, in your back office. Because it's important to be reminded all the time who you're going after and what they look like, where they go, what they shop, and those types of things. And again, over time, you're going to learn a lot more about them than you thought you ever knew, because you're going to see where they shop. You're going to see where they eat. You're going to see where they buy things. You're going to see that they're Cricket Wireless users. So there's that kind of stuff. But do your homework. And again, the homework shouldn't take more than 2 days, if that. Because you have all this information internally. You just got to jot it down, write it down, and focus your marketing efforts to support it. So now it's time for questions. I do have 3 questions that a couple came to me before the seminar, and I got one since. So I will quickly go through them now. All right, the first one. I've heard that geo-targeting is a little complicated to set up and manage. Would you be willing to help us with some of these services like geo-targeting while we handle the rest? Yes, the short answer is yes. Geo-targeting is not super simple to set up, but it's extremely powerful. So we'd be happy to help you get you going, set it up, or even maintain the geo-targeting for you in conjunction with other stuff you're doing, and then maybe guide you guys on the rest, but you take the rest. Yeah, we're not looking to do anything that's, we're not an agency. We're not looking for like a monthly retainer or anything like that. We just want to help. And if we did end up helping you with a geo-targeting campaign, for instance, it would just be like a monthly, it wouldn't be much of it depends on the spend, the budget, your size, your business, and your geolocation, all that kind of stuff. So it's just a percentage. It's a small one. But again, we'd be happy to help you with a piece of it, opposed to saying, hey, we want all your marketing. It's not what we're here for. We want to help you build a healthcare marketing engine on your side as much as your side can help. And we'd be happy to help as little or as much as you'd want. All right, so the next one, can you explain a little more about Google My Business and how that works? Is there a cost? So I think I covered a lot of this in the call. But again, Google My Business is a free listing. If you don't have one, go get one right now. It's the first thing you should do after this call is to go create a Google My Business listing. I can actually send a link to how to do that in the follow-up email. But literally, Google the words Google My Business listing, and then you'll be able to figure out how to do it. And if you don't have one, you need to start one now, because that takes a little while to get going. Because as you can imagine, Google looks at content, new content all the time. And of course, it looks at its own content. Google My Business is their own content, obviously. It'll look at that as much more valuable than someone's blog post. So create that Google My Business page, which basically has all your office hours. It has stuff about COVID. If you have COVID, special COVID precautions or hours. It'll have your address, phone number, and then you put your logo up there. You put what the company is about, what the business is about, and a bunch of photographs of of the building, of inside, what looks like your staff, your friendly staff. Obviously, you don't want to get patients or clients in it, but it's just an opportunity for you to get your brand out there. And Google loves, like I said before, Google loves that content for search engine purposes. They really, really do. If you don't have one, you need one ASAP. And also it provides easy ways for people to, when they search for you, wellness center near me, for instance, they will come up, yours will hopefully come up, one of the first couple, and they click on, hey, appointments. Okay, click on the button that says appointments, because Google My Business allows you to do that kind of thing. So click on that button, the phone rings on your end, and next thing you know, you got another client. And you want to put testimonials out there, you want to put photographs out there. Again, the more stuff you can put out there on a more frequent basis, the better. So the last question I have here is, what email and text platforms do you use? Well, we use a number of different ones. The email platforms can be anything from MailChimp to Amazon Web Services, plus something like Apollo. There's all kinds of different variations and flavors. It depends on the size of your organization or business, or how many people you have opted in on email to start with. For the most part, I would say everyone on this call, a MailChimp solution for email marketing would be fine. There's no need to go beyond that, because actually MailChimp has recently expanded their capability to do tens of thousands of contacts and emails. So they're not limited anymore. They used to be years ago, but they're not anymore. And it's a pretty robust tool. And it's actually not too difficult to use. So email marketing, I would recommend MailChimp, but there's so many out there. They're so similar, Constant Contact and many, many others. As far as text platforms, it's same category. There's all kinds of text platforms, and really depends, and they're all pretty much the same. They all have tracking, they all have the capability of have two-way conversations, and they all have SMS and MMS capabilities, where there's you could send multimedia opposed to just text. Now, sending multimedia with pictures or HTML or graphics, all that kind of stuff, that's going to cost you more, but it depends on what your goal is and what the overall marketing goal is. So there's so many tools out there. There's a tool called Easy Texting, which we've used before, and there's many, many others. Again, not Amazon, there's a different, I can't recall the name, but there's many different text-based. It all depends on how many subscribers. Again, you've got to have opt-in. So people said, yes, you can text me. Then what's the quantity of those people who said yes to text me? We can kind of base the tool on how many people you're starting with, because there's some really robust tools that for hundreds of thousands, for like the big brands like Coca-Cola and those types of companies. But that doesn't really apply to us. But if you have 300 patients or clients that you want to text on a regular basis to get them to refer a friend or whatever, that would be a different solution than a big company. Okay, I think that wraps up the the questions that came in. It also wraps up my presentation. So if there's nothing else, and I don't see anything, we're 3 minutes over, so we're at 48 minutes after the hour. So I really do appreciate your time today. And again, please reach out if you're interested in a 30-minute one-on-one consultation. No obligation, no sneaky kind of sales stuff. We really just want to help and share with us kind of cool tools that we're using, and be an urgent care center success story, either on your own or with us. We'd be happy to help. So thank you so much, and I will talk to you all soon. Thank you.